The pursuit of immortality is historically an important topic in ancient Chinese philosophy and culture, and just like traditional Chinese medicine, alchemy and self-cultivation, exorcism and religious Taoism, it is represented both in Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact. Although the lives of Xianzhou natives suffering from the consequences of immortality, and those of the disciples of Chenyu Vale, along with the remaining Narzissenkreuz researchers who are only venturing on their journeys towards it, are very different, they do share two things in common. Firstly, the disciples of Sanctus Medicus who wish to ascend, Baizhu who seeks immortality for himself, René and Jacob yearning to surpass mortality, all of them turned to heretical medical practices, pursuing escape from death, manifested in the abundance of life. And then there is the draught of draconic surge, or the practice of eating God's remains, which is what I would like to discuss with you today. What power lies in the flesh of ancient serpents? What use can be of a container made from the remains of the third descendant? What is the body of the traveler capable of? Welcome back to my channel. This is a third video in a series where we talk about Aeon's existence in the world of Teyvat. Today we're taking a closer look at Yaoshi, the Plague's author, and if you'd like to learn more about Nanook the Destruction, the antimatter, and the annihilation reaction commonly used in the technology of Fontaine, I will link two of my previous videos in the description. Thank you so much for the support on my last video, and let's get back to the topic. The draught of draconic surge is a prescription, a medicine in the practice of the disciples of Sanctus Medicus that is said to help attain immortality. Its most important ingredient is Vidyadhara's bone marrow, and other ingredients are meant to stimulate the cells of the bone marrow. Vidyadharas are long-life species, the descendants of Long the Dragon. Dragon power flows in their blood. This document refers to immortality as cancer, cells proliferating beyond their designated capacity, and mentions that some cancerous cells, such as ones from Vidyadhara's bone marrow, are capable to live independently of a host and corrode other creatures with their longevity. Something really similar was described in Baizhu's story quest, a potion that consists of mother and minor loads, an elixir of immortality, which main ingredient are the remains of a god, a serpent by the name Qi. Although Qi was defeated and sealed away by Rex Lapis hundreds of years ago, their remains cells still had capability to prolong human life. In Baizhu's own words, if disease is defined as deviation from normal functioning, then who knows, perhaps the true elixir of immortality could in fact be a kind of poison. Just like, and I can't believe I'm quoting this, Adrian Spencer Smith in Fables About the Stars says concerning the elixir seekers, "You seek only a poison that will annihilate the joys that mortality gave to life." The disciples of Sanctus Medicus are a sect that evolved from the movement known as the Elixir Seekers. Thousands of years ago, they set off to get the audience with the famous Aeon Yaoshi, who later gave them the gift of the ambrosial arbor, from which those people gained immortality. Although nowadays the people of Xianzhou abandoned this path and the ambrosial arbor was destroyed, the disciples of Sanctus Medicus still pursue immortality in secret. The disciples of Chenyu Vale practice medicine against the natural order of things, as we learn from Hu Tao. Wangsheng Funeral Parlor was established after the Archon War, when the remains of the defeated gods were causing all sorts of troubles to people. We learn from the description of the Jadefall splendor that it was also the same time period when the people of Chenyu Vale had to relocate there from the area now known as Chasm, punished for some sort of sin. The region of Chasm is tightly connected to alchemy. In fact, cinnabar is said to be one of the main ingredients of the elixir of immortality in ancient Chinese texts. We also know from Baizhu's quest that both he and Zhang Li, a fellow disciple, produced their own elixirs. At Chenyu Vale, they studied under the same master from whom Baizhu inherited the contract with Chongshen. the ability to transfer qi, toxins, and diseases. The pact with Changshan was made ages ago by a pharmacist of Chenyu Vale to reverse death by inhuman powers. Is this pact a life-saving medicine or a life-ending poison? Was the question Baizhu's master left him with. What exactly did the first pharmacist come in contact with? What exactly answered his plea? We do not know much about it yet. Since the region hasn't been released, we can only say that out of all medical schools in Teyvat, there's only one ambitious enough to research the elixir and revive the dead. Besides, those who come into contact with abundance often end up in a fate worse than death. And Chichi mentions that although she's dead, Baizhu is in a much worse state. Changshan tells us that even the old gods struggled to achieve true immortality. After all, abundance does not equal permanence. Not all doctors are as talented as Baizhu, and not all patients are as lucky as Zhongli's husband. From the journal of Renee, a Narzissenkreuz scientist, we learn about two different outcomes of the same experiment. Feeding blood and flesh of the dragon Elenus to Jacob Ingold was a success, a first step in the creation of neo-humans. Renee's other assistant Carter faced a terrifying fate. Collected all sorts of biological tissue from after the calamity, Renee began to experiment on Carter with a goal to reach the same success as with Jacob. Unfortunately, Carter was suspended in the space between life and death in agony. If we take a look at the Draught of Draconic Surge study once again, the writer mentions that this medicine gives the ability to go out of control in a more controlled manner. It is used to manually trigger Mara in people using the power of dragon's flesh. Carter's organs grew back within a few days after being cut, just like the Mara struck are revived after their fall. Another instance of ingesting divine serpent's remains are the consecrated beasts mutated after feeding from greater life forms. They devoured nigh immortal consciousness that can never be fully silenced, driving them to seek violence, similarly to the humans with Mara. Their new-grown shell is said to have similarities with crystal marrow that contains leftover power of Tatarigami, the cursed remains of a serpent god Orobashi. We can also notice similarities to the protective membrane on the dragon Elenus. The flesh and blood of Elenus had similar properties to the red gemstone from the dragon spine, because both Elenus and Durin were Rhine daughter's creations. One dragon's blood gave immortality to a Narzissenkreuz researcher, and his flesh created a new life in a form of Melusines. Another resurrected an ancient tree and vitalized evil on the mountain once known as Vindagnir. The nameless taboo medicine of the royal court of Conria has a suspiciously similar red glow. Ancient serpent cheese remains were used to create an elixir of immortality, and bodies of Vidyadharas, who are the descendants of the dragon, are used as a material for a similar elixir. An empty gnosis, lacking elemental power, was still accepted by Arlecchino, as it was once made from a body of a descendant, and may possess powers of a different kind. Manifestations of Yaoshi may be harder to notice in the world of Teyvat than those of Nanook, but there are some parallels to be drawn. After all, it's just a path, a pursuit of a certain idea, and what interests us is the approach people choose to achieve it. Thank you for watching today's video. Let me know in the comments if you notice more hints about the Plague's author's presence in Teyvat, and I'll see you in the next one.